Hey everyone, this video is going to be an update for the Spellbreaker, the Albrecht Aether Spellbreaker I posted last week. He's in Ultimate, he's, right before Karaz, and I'm going to try to run Karaz in this video as the demonstration, but he's sort of in a transitional period as far as his build goes, because the chest piece I wanted to use, the Frostdread Cuirass, didn't really work that great for him. And it may work great in the future if I do some other gear changing, but right now he's actually got to run a different chest piece just so he can have Albrecht's Aether going and not have his energy be completely drained. And the reason for that is the chest piece he's running right now is Vestment of Mourning, and that gives him 6.3 energy regen. Frostdread Cuirass only gives him 3 energy regen. He absolutely needs that 3 energy regen per second to actually run Albrecht's Aether Ray. So he's got about 230 regen and 235 regen. And if I could get him 3 energy regen per second elsewhere, I would absolutely switch to the Frostdread Cuirass, and that would sort of complete what his build is right now, almost. He's got a few other items I want to pick up for him, and a few weak spots in his gearing that once I sort of smooth over those weak spots, I'll post another build video that's everything just completely updated. But I really just need to get, build update videos out, so that's what this is going to be. So we're going to start with his skills, and obviously we're running Albrecht's Aether Ray at 16 of 16, which jumps it up to 22 of 16. He's almost got it maxed out, like really maxed out. It's just 4 points away. I don't know where I could get those 4 points, honestly, with what he's equipped with and what I'm running for his build, because we're running an Aether Cold build, and part of what I want to do with this character is actually kind of do something very non-standard, very I don't want to say unoptimized, but not shooting for optimization, shooting for something that's more like, oh, here's a fun kind of weird concept and let's try to make it work. Also, it's kind of to show off that the Spellbreaker is a ridiculous class combination, in my opinion. So anyways, yeah, Albrecht's Aether Ray is maxed out, and we've only got 1 point in Disintegration for now. Obviously, we're not at 85, so we got points to work with. And I think my next 2 levels are definitely going to be putting their points into Electra's Flash Freeze to get it to 12 of 12. And I may take those last 6 points and really jack the ability all the way up. Or I could take and put those points in Disintegration. These are sort of my 2 mainstays for attacks right now. Electra's Flash Freeze is really for taking out trash mobs, because it actually deals a really good amount of damage to them. And Albrecht's Aether Ray is for focusing down enemies. Also, Disintegration has a point, and Disintegration is awesome. In the previous video, I was debating between Trojan Sky Shards and Disintegration, and I have obviously just chosen Disintegration, because you can pretty much just fire it and forget it, and it'll sit there just hitting an area over 5 seconds, just repeatedly. And because we're running so much cooldown reduction, like, it's up really quickly. It's kind of awesome how quickly it comes back up and is like usable again, because it's like it lasts for 5 seconds. That drops technically the recharge down to 15 seconds, and then we have about 40% skill cooldown reduction right now, so you're taking off about what, 6 points, 6 seconds. So it's like every 9 seconds maybe we get a devastation wave on top of something else I'm going to show when we get to gear. Okay, so other things maxed out on the Arcana side, we definitely want Star Pact maxed out for its cooldown reduction. Its damage, the cold damage will help Electra's Flash Freeze, and obviously the lightning and electrocute damage and the conversion are a little bit wasted on us, but that's fine. We want it strictly for that cooldown reduction, because I mean, Pneumatic Burst, Electric Flash Freeze, Mirror of Aractes, Devastation, Blade Barrier, Nullification are all abilities on cooldown. So like the Sorcerer, we do want a lot of cooldown reduction. And the other thing is, I didn't want to make this another Clairvoyant character, a Clairvoyant set character. So we have to get our cooldown reduction from sources that aren't the Clairvoyant set. So our Offhand, Amulet, Helmet, and Star Pact are all important cooldown reduction abilities. And we could possibly get it up to about 50% if I manage to get a good amulet. Well, a better amulet that actually has cooldown reduction. And I chose that over Reckless Power because despite Reckless Power being like the quintessential thing you'd go for Albrecht's Aether Ray, I don't know that I necessarily need it for this specific character. Because we got about 560-ish Aether damage. And I'm happy with that. So I don't really think I need that as much. And because we're running Pneumatic Burst, like the casting speed is not exactly necessary either. And like I said, we want cooldown reduction over what Reckless Power can provide. So Star Pact is where we went. Inner Focus obviously maxed out. Mental Alacrity, I believe it's at about 8, maybe 7. But you generally want it at about 9 or 10 points after plus the skills. Maxed out Fabric of Reality, 1 point in both Arcane Will and Nullification, 1 point on Absolute Zero, and Electric Flash Freeze has probably about 4 or 5 in it now. In the next build video for this guy, I will take off the gear and give exact points. But right now we're just doing this sort of as a rough build. Plus, I don't know exactly what's going to be maxed out in the end. Mirror of Aractes, 1 point. Myvan Sphere of Protection, just get it to 12 with your plus skills. Don't let it. I usually don't let it go above 12, just like I don't let Mental Alacrity go above 10. 1 point on conversion. Max out Iskander's Elemental Exchange, mostly for that energy regen, but also the elemental damage will pass on to the Nemesis we're using, which I'll get to when we get to gear. 1 point on Overload, 1 point on Elemental Balance. On the Nightblade side of things, we don't go too deep. I mean, we go about halfway, well, little under halfway into the class. Max out, get Veil of Shadow to 10, get Night's Chill to 10, although I'm running it at 12 of 10 because of my chest piece. These two, I usually just keep them at 10 out of 10. And then, same thing with Phantasmal Armor, I just get it to 12 out of 10 and then leave it. Max out completely Pneumatic Burst and Shadow Dance, because Pneumatic Burst and Shadow Dance are the core of our defense. Pneumatic Burst for its healing, and Shadow Dance because of that avoidance we're given. And I'm going to point this out right now, that it's 21-21. We're running 18 and 20 on those. So if we click over our Shadow Dance and if we maintain Shadow Dance, we've got about 40% on both. So 40% just avoidance of all incoming attacks, except for dots. And that's our big weakness, is dots. I've probably died to like Chthonic Harbinger dots and things like that more than anything else with this character. So it's something you got to watch out for. Otherwise, you avoid a lot of the damage that comes at you with Pneumatic Burst. And then if it does hit you, you always have Myvan Sphere to reduce it. You obviously have Mirror of Aractes to protect yourself, and you have your resistances and defenses to help as well. And of course, 1 point on Blade Barrier because it's another kind of oh shit button you can use. So our devotion tree, again, we're kind of all over the place, and I'm not doing anything super optimized. So it's going to be a little weird, and I may be changing this in the future. We'll see. So, first and foremost, I did when I was No, I didn't. Yeah, I did. Okay, when I was leveling up the character, I went for Aether Fire. And Aether Fire works great in Normal/Veteran and Elite. But when you get into the higher difficulties, Aether Fire and Arcane Bomb, in terms of Aether damage for an Aether character, really start to become lackluster. And when I got into Ultimate, I did respec points out of Aether Fire. I didn't even use Arcane Bomb. But yeah, I had Aether Fire for a while, but I eventually did just respec it because the ability just became so lackluster. Because it's just damage. It doesn't provide anything for your character. But I used it because I immediately wanted to pick up Blizzard. And Blizzard, I initially had it on Albrecht's Aether Ray while leveling this character up. And it works really well in Albrecht's Aether Ray. But Acid Spray works way better in Albrecht's Aether Ray for the reduced target resistances for 5 seconds. That's always a huge damage boost. Because it hits all the resistances, including Aether and Fire and Cold, and definitely ups your damage when it procs, more so than the damage that Blizzard provides you. However, Blizzard is still a potent ability, and I clicked it onto the Nemesis I have. And the Nemesis, when it crits, it has a 50% chance to drop the Blizzards, and the Blizzards use your damage, so the Nemesis actually has a kind of periodic burst of damage, which is not bad. Also, the cold damage nodes you'll get from here, and, well, I guess it's just the one cold damage node we're running, but yeah, that's actually not wasted because of Alexa's Flash Freeze. So, after I got Blizzard, to get Blizzard, you do the Imp and the Hawk together, and that should be enough to get you Blizzard. Oh, Imp, Hawk, and Eel, I believe, are what I used to get Blizzard. And then what I did was I picked up the Viper to start into the Chaos section. And the Viper, the reason I go for it is mostly the percent offensive ability, but the vitality resistance and other little things it provides aren't that bad. But it's mostly for that percent offensive ability. But it also gives you both Chaos and Primordial. And by picking up Chaos, Primordial, and Eldritch, you get access to the Behemoth. And by completing the Behemoth... Oh, and... Oh, right. I actually used the Jackal, I think, too, early on. Because I wanted to get Acid Spray as early as possible as well. So, yeah, what I did was, I did Imp, Hawk, Eel, picked up Amatok Spirit of Winter to get Blizzard. Then I went in and grabbed the Jackal, and picked up the Manticore. I then went over and picked up the entirety of the Behemoth. And by picking up the entirety of the Behemoth, you can respec, but the Behemoth and the Viper, sorry for being a little confusing here, you can actually respec the Jackal and the Imp, and then take and put those points elsewhere. In my case, by completing the Manticore, it unlocked the Ascendant side of things, and then I came over and dumped those points on the Empty Throne and the Owl. Now, the Empty Throne and the Owl, it's a really good set of defensive bonuses for you, and a nice set of offensive bonuses here. Incidentally, doing both of these gets you 10 points, which unlocks the Blades of Nadar. And Blades of Nadar, I decided to pick up because of the Nemesis summon I'm using. And this is where I'm kind of in that, should I do this, should I just drop it, is, I don't know if I'm going to have the Nemesis at level 85. I may switch to another relic, or I may keep it, depending on if I can get those 3 extra points of energy regen somewhere. If I can pull those out of something, I will absolutely keep the Nemesis and switch to the Frost Dread Cuirass, and that will be the character at level 85. Now, if I can't do that, I'm possibly going to drop the Nemesis altogether. Like, maybe hook Blizzard into Devastation. And then get a different relic. I don't know which relic, but it would be a different relic. And then what I would do is actually respec the Owl and the points I have on Blades of Nadar into other more defensive things that would be more helpful. So, anyways, we pick up the to get the Law. I was initially also thinking of completing this because it unlocks Law for us. But I actually think that just ticking a point in the crossroads for Law is better in this case because it's 5% health. And then that lets us get the Crane, and between our Primordial and Law, we can pick up Torgo here. And for my last two devotion points, like I said, it depends on what I'm going to be doing for gear, like for the overall build in the next couple levels. I may actually just respec the Owl and Blades in Adar and like actually pick up things up here in a more standard manner. But I was kind of, like I mentioned earlier with this class, with this build, kind of doing stuff that's not really standard, and that's why I kind of was like, oh, I'm going to use a sword and pick up Blades in Adar. But anyways, last two devotion points are either going to go, I think it's going to go the Dryad, the 2 points on Dryad here. But I am also maybe considering trying to get 2 more points in Law somehow, probably complete the Lion, because like I said, there's that 2 energy regen on the Scales of Okama here. So 2 energy regen here, 1 energy regen here, we've got our 3 energy regen. So it's like I actually had to get those 2 devotion points though to be able to do that and play around with things. So I mean, obviously we'd lose Blades in Adar, but at the same time I don't really know that I need that. So yeah, it's a lot to think about going forward with this build. I mean, it's going forward in terms of 5 levels and the end boss. If this guy could even handle the end boss, I don't even know yet. Because the end boss is just all dots, and this guy's biggest weakness is dots. He'd probably die a lot. So anyways, yeah, getting that 5% armor maybe. Picking up these 2 points in Dryad. Maybe respecking things to get like the Lion and then into the Scales, and trying maybe to get back on Blades. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot to tinker with. So anyways, gearing. This guy's geared towards Cold and Aether, like I mentioned before. And there really isn't a good weapon for that setup. There are a lot of weapons that I can think of that I would like to maybe consider using for him. Shard of Astrakhan with its that aura you have with it. If I were using that, I could maybe drop the Nemesis altogether and just use that as my Blizzard proc, because it procs Blizzard a lot. But it's a caster weapon. I mean, that's not a negative, really. So that means no Blades in Adar. Absolutely no Blades in Adar. And it's a Trojan's weapon, really. So I'd lose out on the +2 to Trojans, +2 to Frozen Core it has. But I would have Blizzards proccing for free. So it's a trade-off there. I also thought about the Mind Warp Sword. And the Mind Warp Sword's great. It's +1 to all Arcanist skills. It's Aether damage. It looks cool. And that's another one I've been thinking of maybe picking up and using. But ultimately, I think for now, sticking with something crafted is going to be the best bet. And right now I have a Tyrant's Exalted Butcher of Arcane Balance. What I want is Tyrants of the Abomination. Because I have a Tyrant's, it's like Fellblade Raider, I think it is, of Abomination. That's a level 41 weapon. That thing carried this character from about level 45 to about 70. I'm not even joking. It's a 41 weapon that carried him into Ultimate, into like the middle of Ultimate, before I decided, you know, I should probably get an upgrade for this. So, Tyrants of Arcane Balance is actually not a bad combo. The fire damage affects Aether Ray, the all damage affects all damages, and the cold damage affects Electra's Flash Freeze and Blizzard. The bonus Cunning helps us equip the weapon. The attack speed's kind of lost on us. Casting speed is really nice to have. And we got a little elemental resistance out of it because Duncan crafted it for us. Throw in a Wrathstone, and that's our weapon. So, Tyrants of the Abomination would have all damage, physical damage, and Aether damage, with Physique and Cunning, and I believe there might be offensive ability worked in there. But for him, that would be optimal. And that would be optimal for 2 reasons. And now we're going to talk about the Nemesis summon. Because the Nemesis summon uses physical damage, so it would actually be a benefit for that, because the all damage and physical damage would be passed on to our little pet. And the Aether damage would as well, because of the Wrathstone's Aether aura. So the Nemesis is sort of like in my thoughts on this build, it's sort of the like controversial aspect of it, because it's not at all a standard thing a character like this would use. Iskander's Balance, or even Wrath of Agravax, or even Haunt would probably be better for this character to be using. But I really wanted to try it out with this guy. And with the Frostdread Cuirass, it added on like 700 cold damage to our pet. So that's the reason I want to run that chest piece, aside from it looking really cool. So for this build, this is sort of the biggest up in the air thing, is do I continue using the Nemesis summon, or do I switch to a more traditional relic option for this character? And I'm still deciding, because this actually works pretty okay. He's just a little on the low damage side of things. Plus, when all skills of Nightblade is actually nice for us, and we get cold damage out of it. The pierce damage doesn't affect us, but it does affect the Nemesis summon. That's also why Blades in the Dar, these two nodes for the pierce damage aren't wasted. They actually give more damage to the Nemesis summon because it uses our damages. And then the plus 20 offensive ability is just nice for us. But I could probably change all that out. Oh, I also wanted to point out that the other reason for Blades in the Dar is the 2% avoidance for melee attacks and projectiles. So it's part of our it's a help to our defense to have Blades in the Dar, but it also helps the offense of the Nemesis summon. But I may change it later. Like I said, transitional period right now for him. And that's the big transitional period option, or concept, is do I continue with the Nemesis summon, or do I drop it for something more traditional? And I think we'll have a definitive answer in the next video, whenever I get around to making it. Or whenever I get around to getting this guy to 85. So, anyways, going forward, Vestment of Mourning is a really solid cold chest piece. It's pretty much made for characters using cold damage in the Spellbreaker combination. At least if you're doing a more castery approach. Plus 2 to Night's Chill and Star Pact is really nice. Night's Chill, it's not a lot of damage, but it's damage, and it hits a pretty substantial area around us. And plus 2 to Star Pact is cooldown reduction for us. Pants are the Fate Weaver's leggings, and I was using the Shade Leather leggings, which are really nice for this character, but these dropped for him. So I was like, wow, these are awesome pants, and I just had to go with them. They're also kind of one of the reasons you can be a little looser on your resistances, because of the prismatic barrier that can happen when you're hit. It has a high cooldown, but I'm assuming that the cooldown on that is actually reduced by our cooldown reduction, just like all of our abilities are. So it's actually not a bad ability to have proc. And it doesn't, like, it lasts 12 seconds. Cooldown is maybe 23, 4, 5 seconds in there. So it's actually, down and up in about equal portions, I'd say. And plus 2 to Maven Sphere, plus 2 to Conversion. Not bad bonuses there for our skills. And we get 7% chance to avoid melee attacks. Our offhand is the Empowered Dementia. And I just really wanted to use an Empowered Dementia. More than like grabbing up Iskandra's text or something else. Or Empowered Crushing Will. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go for the Empowered Dementia. It doesn't have casting speed on it, but I just really wanted to use this thing. Plus, it's cold Aether damage for us. This is the other, gearing debate, is I said I don't want to use a full set for this character. I want to do a character that can run ultimate, that can... He's not going to be the most efficient, but he can run ultimate and have fun doing it, not die a lot, kill things pretty well, with sort of, gear from all over the place. So, no Clairvoyant set, no Iskander set, no sets in general, just gear from everywhere at all sorts of levels. I mean, he obviously has, a green sword, lots of blues everywhere. But I'm thinking of grabbing maybe 2 pieces of the Iskander set, the amulet and the offhand, and running that. Just because the amulet I know has cooldown reduction. And I really like Empowered Essence of Baranath, but that is the one thing it's lacking. No, excuse me. And I figure maybe getting the Iskander's offhand, because that's about +6, I think, between the 2 things, 2 Iskander's elemental exchange, and a lot of Aether damage and elemental damage on those 2 pieces of gear. And I think that may be how I use this, or how I go with my gear when we hit 85. But right now we're going to run Empowered Dementia with Empowered Essence of Baranath. Shoulders are the Fate Weaver's Mantle, which are just really cool shoulders, and they're 7% chance to avoid projectiles, with +3 to mirror, +2 to nullification. The Fade from Reality ability is pretty good as well. I mean, they're just nice shoulder pads, and they look good. I grab my Aether Reach off of my Sorcerer, and Aether Reach is your go-to if you're using Albrecht's Aether Ray for gloves. Spell Sage boots for the boots, and I'm actually gonna say I know exactly what goes in that slot, and that is Wraithwalkers. If I could ever get a damn pair of Wraithwalkers, they'd definitely be the go-to boots, because they are cold Aether boots, and they give a +2, I think, to Electra's Flash Freeze. That's exactly what I want out of a piece of gear for this guy. I just don't have them yet. So, yeah, we're gonna just rock Spell Sage boots until we get that. So, helmet. I've been wanting to use the Outcast Hood for the longest time. And with the changes to Devastation, this helmet became ridiculous. Absolutely stupid awesome. It's an Aether damage helmet. It's got percent energy and offensive ability and energy regen and cooldown reduction and Aether res, +3 to devastation, and 15% chance when we are hit to have a devastation wave happen. Now, if you read the text here on this devastation, it actually says something like, it says only 1 devastation can be cast at any one time. That does not mean you choose between the Outcast Hood devastation or your devastation. You can have both of those running at the same time. So you can actually, and this is going to happen a lot, and when we're going into the field, you'll see this happen a lot. You'll see devastation waves come down next to devastation waves. It is absolutely awesome to have that happen, and it's kind of insane that this helmet exists. So it's definitely, for this character, our go-to helmet. We also get to wear it because we're not wearing a set. And that's why I also wanted to not run a set, is I wanted to run weird or interesting gear choices. And that's why Outcast Hood is in here. It also actually, kind of looks good, which is important to me. So for our rings, he had a Screams of the Aether drop for his Elite victory on the game. And we're not using Fabric of Reality, but we are using Devastation, obviously. And that's one of the reasons we have it up to about 8, I think it was, in our skills menu. Thanks to the hood, our plus to all skills, and that ring, we're running Devastation at 8 with only 1 point in the ability. And it's a really awesome ring as well. I only wish the Terrify actually happened a lot more. And that's the same thing with the Empowered Dementia. It seems like the Terror abilities, they just don't happen as much as you would think. Because 100% chance when hit by melee attacks, I mean, it's on a 10-second recharge, yeah. But it hits in the... You would expect it to hit, actually hit a lot of things and have them run away from you. But it just doesn't seem to happen. And I don't know if it's glitched, or if it's just I'm not noticing it as much. But yeah, otherwise it's a really nice ring. The other ring we're running is a Death's Frost Seal, and I mean, this is like a throwaway ring, and I really need a better one. I just don't have a better option right now. I think maybe Empowered Aetherlord Signet or Empowered Chill Surge ring would probably work here. But the other ring I really want to get, sort of like Wraithwalker, the Wraithwalker boots, is I know there's a ring called the Band of Eternal Haunt, which is a Cold Aether ring, which is the ring I'd want for this character. I don't have one yet, though. Hopefully we'll get those 2 pieces of gear before the next video. But, I mean, that may or may not happen. So, our medal is a badge of mastery with +2 to Electras and +1 to, or +2, +3 to Electra's Flash Freeze and +2 to Albrecht's Aether Ray. I mean, I would never pass up on using this thing for this character. Yeah, it's just, badge of mastery is awesome, and if you get one that has skills matching your characters, it gets even more awesome. Enderbelt is the Phantom Thread Girdle, straight off my Panetti Spellbreaker. It's your go-to Spellbreaker belt. It's Aether and Elemental and offensive ability and avoid melee attacks. The minus physique requirement for armor is actually pretty nice. And, you know, +2 to Phantasmal Armor and +1 to all skills in Arcanist. It's a great all-around belt for a Spellbreaker. And obviously, Nemesis Relic. So, finally, we have our attributes, and it's split evenly between Physique and Spirit. No points in Cunning at all, even though we're running a sword. You just won't need it. The native Cunning you get from... Did I put a point in Anatomy of Murder? I did. So you'll get, you know, % Cunning from Anatomy of Murder, plus Cunning from, you know, around your gear, and probably in Devotion somewhere, that will allow you to get the Cunning you'll need for running any gear you'll want. Plus, I mean, Badge of Mastery has reduced Cunning requirements for melee weapons, which is, you know, helpful. It obviously lets me equip this. So, yeah, split between Physique and Spirit. Okay, basic strategy here. We want to run Pneumatic Burst all the time. See, there was a tear effect, but it was only one guy. So, we gotta try to remember to keep Pneumatic Burst up all the time. And, you'll notice that we can actually Flash Freeze out. Okay, there was our double devastation wave going on there. Okay, I saw it. Okay, so one of the things you got to watch out for with this character in this area, Void Fiends can actually kill you really quickly. See, they have these dots, and like I said, dots are a weakness because we can't avoid dots. So, like, I just walked through that for not even a couple seconds, like not even a second, and all our health was gone. So if you're fighting things where you know they'll be throwing down dots, you got to be really careful because you can't avoid them at all. So, that's what Electra's Flash Freeze can do to the trash mobs. It will absolutely just, boom, and they're dying. The damage from Electra's combined with Albrecht's Aether Ray and Devastation Waves is actually quite nice. It also helps that Night's Chill will reduce the enemy cold resistance as well, which just makes Electra's Flash Freeze deal more damage. Now, again, I think I said this pretty much in every Spellbreaker video I've done. I don't seek out melee range with this character, but it's gonna happen. It just happens in action RPGs. So you might as well take advantage of it. Like when you get hoarded, you might as well like have Night's Chill active. It'll slow enemies, it'll reduce their cold resistance, and it'll actually deal damage by itself. There's our Blizzard popping off our Nemesis summon, and you know he's okay. Like I said, he dealt a lot of damage when I was running the Frostred Cuirass, but like when, but it's like I couldn't use Albrecht's Aether Ray with it. So we had to obviously switch that out. And if I can get, like I said, that sort of remaining 3 energy regen, I think we'll be fine for getting our Nemesis summon back to dealing good damage. Now, I know this guy is not dealing the damage numbers my sorcerer deals, but that's because his damage types are definitely not in line with each other. And I've already said I kind of didn't want to make like another super optimized build. I wanted a character that was more along the lines of let's build something for fun, rather than for like trying to go for a 30k crit. 30k critting Albrecht's Aether Ray. It was much more about, oh, I want to do a cold Aether guy and do an Aether Ray Spellbreaker. So that's what I'm going to do. And aside from that early death due to me not paying attention to what I was doing, we're doing okay. I said like 3 times when I was talking about the gear, oh, don't stand in dots because you can't avoid them. And I died via dots. Okay, so Chthonic Harbingers are the worst enemy in the game. At least for this guy, they're the worst enemy in the game. Because you can't freeze them. So you gotta run away from them, because they do hurt. I don't think you can actually avoid, like, I don't think that's considered a projectile or a melee attack either. So their little explosion when they die is like, yeah, you don't want to be hit by it. So enemies that, like, there are enemy heroes that you can, like, freeze for a fraction of a second and thus deal damage to them with Electric Flash Freeze. But for the most part, Flash Freeze is not going to be used against heroes as much. I mean, you can. I just did. I hit him twice with it. But generally speaking, Electric Flash Freeze is not going to be a hero killer. It will, however, really, really damage trash mobs. It's also great because it lets us position our Aether Ray so we can actually hit, like, lines of enemies. I'm going to come down here to grab up this treasure chest that's down here. And I love that we can do it a lot, too. Electric Flash Freeze is great when you have cooldown reduction. So the hood, like, because we're doing an avoidance build almost, yeah, the hood is actually not going to proc as many. I mean, it did there, but it's actually not going to proc as much as, just as much, because I think it actually does require you to be actually hit by things in order to get the proper, to get the actual free devastation waves. But I'm fine with that. I mean, it's fair to not have it proc off of things that don't hit you. However, if you go and hide behind this, behind your blade barrier, it will technically have enemies hitting you, which means blade barrier, while you're under it, you'll be proccing free devotion waves. I hate the guys with that stunning poison dot. Especially with this character. Come on, come on. Aw. Also, like every other character that's heavily into spellcasting, run away is oftentimes the best tactic. Because right there we had, you know, Void Fiends and Harbingers and the Obsidian guys, and it's like, the Obsidian guys could cage you, and the Obsidian guys could cage you, and you could end up, like, caged in a dot and die. So this guy's actually going to be, like, his first form shouldn't be too bad, and I mean, we're not really having a lot of problems with it. It's his second form I'm really worried about. Because like I mentioned before, dots. And his second form, like, that's one of his main things he does, is dots. I also wanted to mention one thing. While we're behind the blade barrier, our pet is still going to be dealing damage, which is really nice. But also, this thing, I have seen it die one time. One time. It was to that... Oh, double wave. I love double waves. Okay, run away, because I saw him do the animation for the dots. There they are. The only thing that I've ever seen kill the pet is... It was in the Tomb of the Watcher. It was that one enemy that... Oh, what's its... I don't remember its name. It's like this poison guy that keeps throwing out almost like his own version of Dreeg's Evil Eye. It was like, I don't remember his name, but he like constantly throws out these little poison things. And, so far, that's the only thing I've... Ow, 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 ow. Yep, there's dots. That hurt bad. Gotta love clutch Mirror Varactes. Get out of that. Yeah, come on and hit me now. Okay, stop hitting me now. Like that the thing. No. That damn poison guy in the Tomb of the Watcher at the end of the game killed the Nemesis spawn. It was like, I was surprised, in all honesty, because this thing, like, it's so robust. I never see it like take damage, let alone die. So it's like, what could have... Oh, I thought it died there. I was like, really? Oh, there we go. Like, I thought, like, I've never seen this little guy die except for that one time. So that fight wasn't the immediately burn the mob down to nothing with like 5 seconds of Aether raying, but I mean, we did it. And we had fun doing it. This damn immortal clock. So yeah, only the that one spawn in Tomb of the Watcher has been able to kill a Nemesis. So, like, he's actually not terrible to have with us, even though he's not dealing the most damage out of our abilities. Just because he's so, like, he's free damage. And I'm going to grab the waypoint here. Yeah, so there are normal enemies you can't actually freeze, including the Chillmane Alphas or the Chthonic Harbingers. Okay then, that was a look at how our cold Aether, Albrecht's Aether Spellbreaker is doing. Oh, that's kind of funny. I don't know what the next video is going to be, but thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time.